Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another CPaaSAA Talk. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Neelam Sandhu, who is the new CMO at Vonage. And we'll have her in person at our event next week in Amsterdam, which is great. But this is a great opportunity to have a few introduction questions, basically. Neelam, welcome. And first question, really simple. Why did you join Vonage and what are you doing there?
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to meeting in person next week at the CASA 25 conference. So what attracted me to Vonage? So I've been at the company now for just over 2 months, and I can say that why I decided to join still stands true today. So that's good. It's lived up to its promise, and so I look for 3 things in a company when I'm making a choice whether to join or not. And those 3 things are the culture of the company. And within that, there are different layers, obviously, like integrity and other things. So culture is number 1. Absolutely. Ericsson Vonage check that box very easily and very clearly. The second is leadership. So, well-known statement that people don't just choose a job, they choose a leader. And that box is clearly checked for me as well. So the third pillar is vision. Like, does the company have a product, a vision, a purpose that I can really get behind? Certainly for me, a job is not just a job. We spend so much time at work and with the people that we work with, that for me, it's really important that I feel driven and motivated and energized by the people around me, but also the work that we're doing. And that I feel like it's transformational, it will make a difference. It will help enterprises, it will help people, and so on and so forth. And with Vonage, the vision, the purpose, I would say is pretty clear. We definitely need to do a better job in terms of telling the story of it. But once you kind of dig into the details, you can see that we have a very transformational role to play in the industry, in the tech industry, as well as in the telco sub component of the tech industry. So we are, I like to use cloud computing as an example to help kind of drive a little bit of context around this. So if you think about cloud computing and how over the last 20 years or so, it's completely transformed everything, how we live, how we work, from the older generations down to children on their iPads, and how intuitively they can use tech today. We see is that with mobile networks, which have traditionally for many, many, many years been leveraged for basic communications and mobile broadband, how do we turn those into a platform and a marketplace as well? Just as vibrant, just as thriving, just as much, if not more, value as cloud has exposed. That's our vision for mobile networks. It almost seems so obvious when we talk about it, that there is just this huge technology that is foundational to everybody's lives across the globe. Very unlikely that it will ever go away, because it's the kind of core components of it will always be needed. Why haven't we done more with it? And there's good reasons for that. So I'm really excited to be at Vonage to help tell that story to the world and help energize the ecosystem and get them excited about it, particularly developers, so that we can bring this vision to life.
Awesome. I love how you managed to talk about Vonage without talking about technology for a good 2 or 3 minutes. I'm old enough to remember when Vonage didn't have a CPaaS part yet, before they acquired Nexmo and they were standalone, not acquired by Ericsson. So much has happened with Vonage, but also with the whole space that we operate in, cloud communication, CPaaS and everything in the last years. And of course, if you look at where we are today with network APIs and telcos doing their thing, with AI coming for everybody's job potentially, or not, or helping, or who knows. But there's so much change happening, and I love how you describe that you have a purpose and you have a vision at Vonage. It feels a little bit like sort of a relaunch of Vonage as a grown-up company.
I would agree. Yeah, and I just to comment on your point around not mentioning tech, I think Tech is the enabler, but what's the value that we actually bring to people, and how do we energize them without throwing in too many buzzwords up front? I certainly will talk about AI and other things, I'm sure, as we continue the conversation. So you asked the question around, or you made the statement that it almost feels like we're relaunching the brand and into a mature and adult company. And I would say, yes, that's exactly what we're doing. We have been on quite a journey. Granted, I've only been here a couple of months, but knowing the history of the company, been on quite a journey from being a consumer VoIP company to a B2B UCaaS company, unified comms company, and now we're leveraging that history to transform ourselves, and we're kind of on the journey already, transform ourselves into a key ecosystem player that will completely transform mobile networks. And we've got a broad portfolio which has evolved from kind of mainly UCaaS to now also include contact center, CPaaS, key thing I'm sure you're interested in, and then the network API side of the business, which is the newer pillar. And how all of those things work together is a story that's certainly becoming clearer and clearer in my mind. And it really is, and I use the word energizing, certainly energizing. And I'm excited to be able to next week articulate that to a wider audience, because I don't see that necessarily that the interplay of all of those technologies is well thought through and talked about. And perhaps that's because we are in a unique position as Vonage to have those components. And then we've obviously got the Ericsson piece as well, which is the actual infrastructure for mobile networks. But we're in a unique spot to be able to bring really core technologies together that can drive this transformation forward. And what I kind of describe as the next era of digital transformation. And then pulling back to the key part of your question, there's also, so not only will we be defining the story and relaunching that into the market, or launching that into the market, but also re-looking at our brand visual identity along with that to generate a little bit more excitement and up-level our brand and how we look and feel and how we connect with our audiences as well. So a lot of work behind the scenes, and you'll see more from us. And I think we've got a very eager audience who wants to hear more from us. They've been with Vonage over the years, and are certainly paying attention from what I can see and what I hear in talking to different stakeholders. And they want to hear from us about what's next for us. So don't want to lose their attention, and I want to give them something to get excited about as well.
Awesome. Well, we certainly want to hear more from you next week in Amsterdam at CASA 25. You'll be doing the opening keynote on Monday morning. No pressure. In a room full of thought leaders and peers and industry and experts and analysts. So again, no pressure, but I think we're really looking forward to hearing this story and then engaging in some good discussions all together. And then also on the Wednesday, you're joining us for the GSMA Open Gateway Analyst Summit, probably, which is a sort of a deep dive into that network API part. I like how you described that Vonage is part of that Ericsson family, right? So it's got the telco bit, it's got the UCaaS and CPaaS bits and the contact centers, and everything is changing. I'm sure you'll talk about AI a little bit as well next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very excited to be at the event next week. I think it's certainly a great platform to bring the ecosystem together, and it's a phenomenal job that you've done in bringing such a group together in just a 2-year period. I think that's certainly exceptional. So thank you for giving us this platform as well, and bringing a trusted audience together. Okay.
So I just want to say thank you for supporting the ecosystem. I think it's really important that we work together as an industry, both the telco side and the CPaaS side and all the technology bits and pieces. Because there are huge opportunities for us if we, I think what you described, shifting a little bit from being tech companies to mature companies to really talk about what we can do and the value that we can create to solve real world problems. I think that's the key point, and that's what we're going to be talking about for a couple of days next week. So I look forward to seeing you there in person. Thank you very much for this chat. And I wish you well. Today in Madrid, you're doing sort of a world tour to introduce yourself since you started.
Yeah.
It was great to meet you here, and see you next week.